this video, you learn 3 ways to use octave shapes on guitar. Now, octaves are great for really enhancing both your rhythm and lead guitar sound. Hi, this is Simon Candy from Acoustic Guitar Lessons Online.net, and in today's lesson, I'm going to show you how to create great sounding music using octave shapes. Now, we'll begin by looking at the 2 key shapes that allow you to access the octave all over the fretboard. Then we'll get into 3 ways that you can really enhance the sound you get out of the instrument using octave shapes both in a lead and rhythm guitar context. So let's get to it. So octave shapes, let me show you 2 of the most usable octave shapes. There's several ways that you can access the octave shape on the guitar, but let me show you the 2 that we're going to use today. So we have the octave shape that extends from the 6th string. So first off, an octave, just in case you're not sure what an octave is basically the same note in the next register up. So if I play, for example, an A major scale, I've got the root note and then I repeat the root note an octave higher. So they're both the same note. That's an octave shape there when we play both the notes together. So I'm extending from the 6th string and I'm using my 1st finger, and then my 3rd finger plays 2 frets higher, 2 strings higher up on the 4th string, and I get the next A in the next register, and I can pick them separately or I can play them together. Okay, if I am playing them together and I'm strumming as I am here with a pick, then I'm going to make sure I block out the other strings, right? That being the string in between my 2 octaves, or my 2 notes, the A's, between the 1st and 3rd fingers, and also the strings above, so I can really attack the octave without having to worry about strings ringing through. Now, string muting is a big thing with guitar playing. That is, muting out strings you don't want to use. So I've got a video specifically dedicated to that on the channel. So I'll link to that in the top right corner now if you want to check that out afterwards in regard to string muting, which is what we need to do here with the octave. So that's the first octave shape. And if we go from the 5th string, so I've got a D note here at the 5th fret, we can extend the same shape. Well, the same shape will give us the octave of that D, and again it's 2 strings higher, 2 frets higher, so now I'm on the 5th fret 5th string and 7th fret 3rd string. And I can sound the octave of the D in this case. Then when we go to the 4th string, because of the tuning of the 3rd and 2nd strings being different to the other string sets, we need to go an extra fret up. So we skip a string again, but we go 3 frets above where the 1st finger is. So here I've got a G, 5th fret, 4th string, and then my pinky would be the best finger to get the G, 8th fret on the 2nd string, and then I can sound that octave shape. I've got to mute strings out there. The 1st finger's muting the 5th string. I could use my middle finger there to mute out the bottom string if I really need to. So again, the string muting video will go into that in detail. And then if I extend from the 3rd string, this is a C note now, and I use my pinky again, it's going to be the same shape because we're again crossing this 3rd to 2nd string with our octave shape. That's why we've got the extra fret. So they're the 2 shapes across the string sets. You've got this shape with 1st and 3rd fingers, and that works for any note on the 6th or 5th string, so we can move it up and down and we'll always get the octave. And then we've got the shape that gives us the octave of notes on the 4th string and the 3rd. And again, they will always be the same shape for notes on those strings. So let's begin by looking at the octave shape as a rhythm guitar tool. And there's a couple of ways that we can do this. So let's say I've got a chord progression that goes C to a D and to an E minor for 2 bars. Okay, that's our chord progression. Okay, so C, D, a barrage, E minor. So one way is just to simply correspond with the chord using an octave shape. So while someone's strumming those chords, you can be just playing the root notes of the chords. And it creates a line that sits nicely, it sort of floats above the chord progression. So I'm going to show you how that sounds now. We've got a chord progression here, C, D, and E minor. So have a listen to how the octaves sort of float above the chord progression. So we've got creates a nice secondary rhythm play the third of each chord. So the E over C, F sharp over D, G over the E minor. Sounds really nice, right? Nice harmony there. So again, the third. Or we could use the fifth of the chord. That'd be here, G for the C, A for the D, and B for the E. G, and the B over the E. Okay, so that's one way that you can use the octave. Now, keeping just on this for the moment, you can also then create sort of moving lines, so you don't necessarily only have to change between the octave shapes when the chord changes. Over any one of those chords in that progression, I can use any of the octave shapes as long as I stay in key and land on particular chord tones with the chord change, much like when you're soloing. So this is a chord progression in the key of, it's actually C Lydian, but let's call it G major. I'm going to play the chord progression, and this time I'm going to just create a little more movement with my octave shapes, so it creates more of a separated sort of line that's, you know, supporting the chord progression but adding or enhancing it. So got our C, D, and our E minor. So we could do something like this. What I'm doing there is just simply creating little lines, but falling on a chord tone when the chord changes. C, B, C, D, there's the D chord change. E, and then over E, because I've got two bars, I can, you know, play out a little bit more. So that's one way that you can use the octave shape. It really creates a nice secondary part and kind of sits with the chord progression. It doesn't dominate, it doesn't overtake, it just really enhances. And you hear a lot of this stuff in the songs, often it's very subtle, so you might really need to listen for it, but it really does make a difference to the overall sound. So another way that we could use these octaves, let's stick with our chord progression for the moment, C, D, E minor, is to add open strings to the octave and create a little secondary part here that's a little bit more of a feature, this one. Okay, so I could take that chord progression and play C for the C chord, D for D, E for the E minor, and I could add open strings in a little bit of a picking part like this. Alright, so I'm just playing over the C, D, E minor. Okay, you could even so we're on C, D, and on E minor you might move up a bit. Right, so there on the E minor, because I've got two bars, I went up to the F sharp and the G, which is fine. That's a chord, that's a scale tone there, diatonic, that's a chord tone there, and then back to the C. So that is a great way to use octaves as a separate sort of part, a little bit more of a highlighted, featured part if you like. And it works on its own like that, or you could play it with the chords. So we'll come back to our chords here, C, D, and E minor. So I'll play this part over the top of the chord progression. So it works really nice with the chords. works well on its own. So that's another way that you can use octave shapes in your guitar playing. Now, octave shapes also work great in a lead guitar context. If you want to check out someone that was an absolute master at this, as well as many other things on the guitar, Wes Montgomery is your guy. He used octaves a lot in his playing in phenomenal ways, in very much a lead guitar sort of aspect. Wes Montgomery. What we could do here is we could take the A minor pentatonic scale, which we all know so well, right? Pattern 1, and we could play it using octaves. So here's the root note of the pattern. I'm going to play the octave shape from that, then the C, 3 frets higher, next string, D and E. So they're notes on the 6th and 5th string. Oops. So we use this shape. And then when we go to the next note in the scale, the G on the 4th string, we're going to use this shape now because of the string set we're on. And then we can go to the C and the D. Okay, so we get... And if we want, we can just work up that top string, the 1st and 3rd strings there with the octave shape to get to the 3rd A note, okay, to complete that octave there of the scale. So we've got this. And we can come back down. Okay, so that's the A minor pentatonic scale using octaves. So let's see how we could use this. Let's see how it sounds. So I'm going to play an A minor blues here. Okay, A minor blues has an A minor chord, D minor chord, and an E minor chord. And let's just hear how that scale sounds on top, the octave sound on top of the progressions. That's our A minor, so let's have a listen. Create little grooves. Okay, that sort of thing. It works great just in isolation. You can integrate it into your soloing. It's a really cool, distinctive sound and works great both as a rhythm context, as you saw, but also in a lead context as well. So that is Octave Shapes, a great addition to your guitar playing. If you like this video, then you will love this ebook audio I've created for you called Awesome Acoustic Rhythm Techniques that will transform the way you play your guitar. In this ebook, I take you through one of the most common chord progressions in music. What's not so common are the approaches we will apply to this progression. You learn how to use embellishments and extensions to decorate the progressions you play, much like a pianist would, resulting in very cool, unique, and sophisticated sounding music. You also learn great ways to play rhythm fills that can punctuate the space between your chord changes. This is much like the rhythm guitar playing of Jimi Hendrix. So click the link in the description below this video and download your free ebook audio, Awesome Acoustic Rhythm Techniques that will transform the way you play your guitar. Let me know in the comments section what acoustic guitar topics you'd like to see covered in future videos. I read all your comments. I do my best to reply to them all. I love to hear from you, so don't be shy. Drop me a line below. If you like this video, then hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. My YouTube analytics tell me that 80% of people who watch my videos are not subscribed. So if you like them, subscribe and hit the notification bell button. That way YouTube will let you know when I release a new video, which is every single week. This is Simon Candy from AcousticGuitarLessonsOnline.net. Thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate your time very, very much, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.